Welcome to Speakernomics, the official podcast of the National Speakers Association. I'm Kenneth Kinney, but friends call me Shark. And like you, I'm a professional speaker, and I love listening to Speakernomics. Speakernomics is a professional speaker show that will help you thrive and grow a speaking business, so you too can change the world, one keynote session, workshop, and speech at a time. And on this episode, we welcome Candice York. And who is Candice York? Well, she's not the peppermint patty queen of the York family, but she is the director of events for the National Speakers Association. And she's the one with a great team behind her that's been coming up with a mastery that makes events like Influence and Thrive so amazing. She's great at events. Candice, welcome to Speakernomics. How are you today?
Thank you. That was a lot. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. 18 cups of coffee and still counting. Now, to all my speaking friends, what's it like to speak in front of a bunch of speakers? It's like a bunch of food critics, and now we're all the chefs too. But NSA's big events like Influence and Thrive take a long time to prepare, just like an amazing dinner. Whether you're a member of NSA or not, though, you know that events, logistics, expectations of the audience, as well as those of meeting professionals, well, they're all evolving. So what does it take to be a speaker and not only recognized as a keynote or session speaker, but where the stage can easily be considered the biggest event for professional speakers, where speaking excellence and influence are served? And before we jump in, make sure to go to speakernomics.com. That's where you can find the tips, insights, and knowledge to help you become a better speaker, build a better business, and get paid to speak. Candice, let's dive in. So first thing, as we talk about NSA, we're getting close to coming to Influence. Tell us who the problem children speakers are. I'm just kidding. So first question I have for you is, when you start thinking about planning out a show, where do you start? I mean, what's the template, blueprint? I mean, you got to start somewhere, starting to assemble all the puzzle pieces, if you will.
Yeah, that's a great question. That could be a very long answer, but I'll keep it short and sweet. So I'm a big picture thinker. And so I just approach it from the bird's eye view perspective in, taking a pulse on the world, on our community, what's inspiring them, what's keeping them up at night, and then kind of diving into creating the content and the experience based on the previous years or collective data from event surveys. And then we kind of just go from there, one brick at a time. We build it, and hopefully they come.
Well, based on especially those results from the surveys, is there a theme you consider, either based on macro trends in speaking? Is it the people needing to get booked more? Is it book publishing? It could be whatever is the hot du jour topic. How do you sort of frame all those to consider what it is that speakers need to hear from an event?
So a theme would be built on survey data that we collect from previous years, the immediate past year, and then maybe collective over time. It really just depends on what's going on in the world, what's going on in our community. We have the Facebook groups, we have emails, and we have messaging. We have all kinds of things coming in at us. Could you cover this? We're really scared about this. Maybe it's AI, maybe it's the economy. It's no secret that there is a lot going on out there right now. And so we really try to dive into those content requests, if you will, and see, what is relevant to our initiatives for these events, which are build a better business, be a better speaker. That is the main focus of our events. And then we lay everything on top of that. So it's not necessarily if, you see a piece of content or a topic missing, it's not necessarily that it's not important. It just may be not relevant in the moment at that specific event. If that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Well, then to you, we've talked about this before. Everybody talks about this in the speaking industry, but to you, what's an easy to work with speaker versus a diva? There's not one person who I'm sure that you've ever brought to a stage who hasn't also had that conversation. And then I'm sure you've had, like everybody else, a handful, a smidge of people that only want the red M&Ms too.
I love this question. I'm going to be very diplomatic in my answer because that's the smart way to go. Collaboration is key. from the very beginning, I can usually tell in the very first email, I can tell in the very first 30 seconds of a phone call or a Zoom chat if it's going to work or not. And most meeting planners, producers will tell you the same thing. It's about tone, attitude. I know we have many speakers who speak on first impressions, EQ, that sort of thing. So I take a lot of my tips and tricks from, the members of our community who are experts on that in that field. But being communicative, being prepared, and really, honestly, it's all of those things add up to a speaker's reputation, right? Meeting planners, producers, we all talk, we know each other. So, I might pick up a phone and call, and say, hey, I'm looking at so-and-so, what do you think? And it's a up or down or if it's a for NSA, it's a no-go because we've raised the bar, especially the past few years. And so I personally am looking for speakers who, this might sound cheesy to some, but are true manifestations of our core values. Is this a person of integrity? Is this person generous? Is this person out there being innovative and just going after it and trying new things, failing forward, if you will? So, I mean, that's a long-winded answer, but it really is the truth. It's about who you are. Are you a person of high integrity? Are you someone that I can work with and collaborate with? Can you flex? Flex is so important. Live events can be so unpredictable. If for some reason you lose stage time, like at our events, I always tell my speakers, you will get your time. Don't worry. I will buy it back somewhere else. I'm not going to lock you in for a 45-minute keynote and then only give you 10. That's not fair to them. And so now sometimes that's really hard to do, but, with NSA, I just have to mention too, our speakers aren't compensated. So anyone listening or watching this, it's a privilege to be on an NSA platform. And so it is highly competitive, but we also don't compensate. So there's a lot of that, when I say flex, that goes into that. So we get into diva mode when things don't go the way they're planned. And then it's, well, I asked for this and I need this microphone here. And I needed my flip chart on the stage center left, so I can just turn. Okay, well, work with me here. Sometimes it can't always work that way. So flexibility is really, really key, for me, and especially for our events,
Sure. Well, if you were, I'm going to just pick an industry, an accountant speaking to a group of accountants, they're not necessarily going to judge you on how well you do on stage, but I'm very curious, how is selecting a speaker who will speak to an audience of professional speaker / food critics? How do you do that where it's really different than, it's much different than other audiences? That criteria with how they perform on stage is really, really important.
Yeah, that's a great question. So NSA is a unique community, right? It's unique. It's just so unique compared to other organizations. It is a community of professional speakers. So events where professional speakers are speaking to professional speakers, I'm just saying that out loud to make sure everybody understands how hard that can be and how challenging it is. Now, it's fun for me and my team. But the trick is for anybody speaking at NSA anywhere, at a breakout, workshop, podcasts even, it's customizing your content. So you might be an accountant, for example, or you might be, the EQ expert or the sales or marketing, whatever your expertise is in. That's great. Love that. We need that. We need everybody in the community to help each other out. But that's the key, is NSA speakers speak to other speakers to help them build their business and be better at their stagecraft, be a better speaker, if you will. I'm going back to those initiatives because when I do discovery calls with speakers, breakout, anyone, I hear you are a marketing expert. Can you create your content to help your peers so that they can create better marketing content for their own businesses? It's really, and some, it's hard for them to kind of wrap their mind around, well, I speak on this and I can't change. This is what I do. And okay, well, that's not what they need to hear. They need to hear, great, you climbed Mount Everest. How did you do it? What gear did you buy? Did you hire a coach? What was your sleeping? What was your eating habits? Those things are really tactical. And that's what we look for in speaker selection and in content even is this something that you can customize and to your peers, and also will they find it valuable?
Yeah, great point. So how do you decide who gets main stage versus a breakout session? What really differentiates those two types of speakers? Because I know even someone that I saw that had a session this year has been main stage in the past, and they're fantastic, typical keynoters. So, I mean, a lot of the people that are doing the sessions, they're all keynoters as well. I mean, it's amazing to see the blend, whereas at a lot of typical, say, industry events, you get your best speakers on the main stage, and then you get your, oftentimes, not always, but you don't get the as good of a speaker on the sessions, but every one of the speakers seem like they're great, whether they're on the main stage or not.
Well, yeah, and that's the key. And I'll just kind of riff off of that is that there's breakout or main stage. Everyone is the same at NSA. Everyone speaking, everyone presenting on our roster at each event is same level. So someone who's thinking, oh, well, I just got a breakout, I didn't get main stage. That kind of mentality is just out the window. We have raised the bar with selection process. I mean, there's a committee, there's scores, there's all kinds of things. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pitches and proposals a month, sometimes a week, depending on the year.
How many?
Hundreds.
Wow.
Yeah. So, my inbox is quite full a lot. But back to the question is, how do we differentiate between breakout and main stage? Main stage it's a journey. It's a blend of emotional journey. It's a blend of EQ, neuroscience, education. NSA again, very unique. We have awards that we give out. There's a lot of intentionality that goes into planning a main stage from the minute you walk in the door to the minute you leave. We're creating this journey for you, and you can feel it. It's palpable. I think if you attended the 50th anniversary, that was really the first time that I had worked in some neuroscience into the program design. And again, NSA community helping me out. We have a lot of experts, Dr. John Molidor, Roxanne Emmerich, a lot of people who have experience in these fields, instructional design, all of these things. And I started really honing in on, okay, how can we make this not just an event, but an experience for them where they not only feel something, but they learn something as well. And it's challenging. It's a lot of fun. But that ties into who we select on main stage. Again, and I'll go back to the initiatives here. Is the content relevant? Does this topic fall within a build a better business or be a better speaker track? And then if it does, great. Okay, then we start working through the rest of the selection criteria, which I won't get into right now. But it is all about the design and the emotional and educational journey. If you go back to some of the programming that we've done beginning in 2022, you can see where an opening keynoter connected to our closing breakout. So when I'm doing discovery calls with speakers and breakout presenters, it's okay, Shark, you're speaking on this, and so, and Jamie's speaking on this at the end. Can you try to find a common thread here and connect the dots? So I only had about 2 or 3 people come up to me and say, I see what you did there. But that is so rewarding to me because it's kind of like creating a Where's Waldo puzzle. And it's like, oh, okay, you picked up on that. You see what you did, so it's fun for me to do that. And then the breakouts are also intentionally selected. I had a great group of volunteers this year. Their identities are usually kept private until the event. But I think with Thrive, people know who they are, so it's fine. But I do that intentionally. I don't want thousands of people lobbying, my advisory group to get on stage at NSA. It's highly competitive, and like I said, and it's exciting. It's exciting to be on an NSA stage. So We go through the selection process. It kind of depends on the topic and the content. Again, taking a pulse on the world, what's going on in the community, and then making sure that it's relevant to the time that we're in and to the people in the room. Another thing we do is we kind of look at our demographic. So we look at the registration list or even our membership data is, how long has these attendees, what's their membership journey? Last year I learned that we're about 50-50 right now, which means we're about 50-50 at attendees, in that 50% of attendees are NSA members of 5 years or less, and they're there for education, content. They're there for the learning aspect. And then 50%, and almost an even split, is they've been members of 5 years or more, and they're there for community. They're there to see their friends. They're there to, maybe attend a session or two, but they're really just there because they've been a member for a long time, and this is their only chance a year sometimes to see some of these people. So, when you talk about the speaker selection, there's a whole lot that goes into it. It's very intentional. It's very thoughtful. And it's not an easy task. So I'm very grateful for the help that I get with my volunteer group.
Yeah, not at all. So what do successful presenters do differently at a conference for speakers, and better that, so that speaker audiences will rave about them and give them great reviews on those surveys?
Yeah, that goes back to the content, the customization. That goes back to and it's a palpable customization. You can tell when someone is on stage and they are speaking to their peers. But I'll see. I hate calling people out because I don't want to endorse anybody, or But it's several speakers have done this really well the past few years that come to mind. David Avern last year broke down his process step by step, the hows, the whys, the whats. Don't do this, and it was very tactical, and it was powerful. I had, our whole team had people come up and say that was so helpful, and he wasn't up there trying to say, look at me, look how successful I am, etc. He said, I am successful. Here's how I did it. Here's the blueprint, right? So, and he customized that. That's not what he does on a normal basis in his speaking industry, in his speaking career. So speakers that can do that, there's many, many others that do that. He was just an example because it was top of mind last year. But that's the key to being successful in presenting in front of your peers at an NSA event, is customizing the content and making sure that it's relevant and digestible too. I do see some speakers kind of go off on the too much information. So that's when at the end, let's get rid of the 50, 80 slide presentation and just slap a QR code up there and let them download it.
Absolutely. So what helps you then as a conference director and organizer? I also run events. I've done that in my past as well, but there are things needed by us, especially from speakers. And I get this all the time. It's something I ran through. It's why we see videos, but what is it that helps you for an association event, whether it's promotion, getting slides in on time, being less of a diva, whatever it is? What is it that you really need to pull together a successful event, put as many butts in seats as possible? And just from a selfish standpoint, what is it that you need?
Yeah, absolutely. That answer is easy, and it's loud and clear, and it's communication. It's clear communication. It's timely communication. It's over communication. It's crucial. Internal, like in our own team, I've learned over the years how to clarify my own communication and my asks. For example, many people might not know this, but our event team is 2 people right now. So that's it. It's 2 people. Now we do have a small team, and we all pitch in and we do all of the hard work together. But for the most part, it's 2 of us. And we have to be very clear with each other. I've started having to clarify my asks. Instead of just saying, I need this, it's, I need this and here's why, and so I've learned over time to be that way with speakers as well. So when, back to that diva question, and it all ties in. It's clear communication, hey, I need this by this date, and then kind of setting those boundaries. Some speakers will get a little upset. Oh, why isn't my promo running? Well, because I don't have your assets yet. That's why it's not running. I asked for it by this date and I didn't get it. And I followed up 14,000 times and here we are. So again, but also keeping that all in the mindset of kindness and grace too, because again, NSA presenters and speakers don't get compensated. However, there still needs to be that accountability and responsibility to manage all of that.
What trends? I mean, you've got your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the events industry as well. What are the trends that you see that you've seen over? What have you been with NSA for? How long? Since 2019?
About 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the trends that you're seeing both in the industry and what you've seen on stages as it's evolved over that time as well, with how the speaking styles, how people get selected? I mean, that's obviously continued to evolve, especially post-COVID.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll do a shameless plug for Influence real quick on this topic. On the main stage, we're going to have a very dynamic discussion between bureau management panelists and speaker management panelists. And they're going to talk about some of this stuff. So just if you haven't registered, make sure you do. But
and make sure to go to last week's episode, which featured exactly that with Sarah Michelle.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, there you go. I don't even have to answer the question. No, I can say from an event planning perspective, I will say this. AI is not going to change the event industry as much as people think it's going to. In that, yes, we will use it as a tool to enhance experience and planning and all of the fun tips and tricks that can make it easier to plan, easier to attend, execute, maybe enhance experience on site. But the human interaction, I mean, that's innate. The people, in-person events aren't going away. They're just, if anything, they're going to get more popular because people are craving connection right now. Even these kids, I've got 4 stepkids, they're buried in their screen all the time. And as soon as they get away from the screen, they're latched on and that's just how we are. We want to connect with our people. We want to make friends and make connections and network and all that stuff. And that's great. It's great for me. It's job security. But I will say we're going to see an influx in live person events even more so. It's happening already, I will say. At Thrive this past year, I was really, really intentional with our team being on the floor to help people navigate the hallways and the where to go. Where's this breakout? Where's lunch? Where's et cetera? Instead of saying, oh, it's in the app, go to the app, which is a very helpful tool. And we do promote you using it a lot because, like I said, we're a small team and we run on volunteers and overly caffeinated staff and sleep deprived staff. So anywho, but it's nice to see a face to say, hey, can I help you? Are you looking for something? And, so we were really intentional about that at Thrive. And I can't tell you how many people emailed me after the fact, said something on site like, oh my gosh, it was so nice to be directed or find help by an actual human being, and so it's already happening. I mean, I think people thought we were going in a direction that we're just not going to go. It's just not natural for us. So that was probably a little too deep, but that's the truth.
That's okay. No, I in particular love how much you love to be talked to and spoken with in the middle of an event, because you're not stressed about keeping up with us at all. No, it takes a lot of work, and I'm pestering her with dumb questions.
Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic because remember that one time you entered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that at every show. So
yeah, if I have that on, please just wave at me first. Don't.
So this is a sort of post influence and Thrive, but how important is it to you, for all speakers as well, to stay engaged with NSA year round versus somebody who wants to make this main stage and just submits one of the, and I'm still flabbergasted by this number, like 100 plus a week. I'm amazed at all the volunteers you have that pull things together and help. And you can tell that that community, not always, but a lot of times they'll get a session or something. I'm not saying that's a direct correlation, but you see how important it is for people to participate in the association. And that obviously, I think, helps their chances as opposed to just submitting a proposal. The reason I bring that up is so many speakers sort of think of the transaction only with trying to get to an event, as opposed to helping support that association or that client or the bigger relationship, if you will, that they need to often have with a group just like NSA.
Yeah, that's a very insightful question. I love that. Staying engaged is everything. So this might be a mic drop moment. I don't know, but in my head, NSA is a community, not a gig, right? So if you're only around when it's convenient, or when you want something, or you want the spotlight, or you're chasing the stage, it shows. I mean, it just really, that's the truth. So, staying around, getting engaged, that's the true heart of NSA. That's what builds these friendships, these relationships, these communities. We have community groups that have been around for 10, 20, 30 plus years. These are people who have grown up together in the speaking industry, and now they spend holidays with each other. And, it's a beautiful thing. And it's one of the things that actually drew me into working for NSA, is just this incredible group of people who collectively just want to do good in the world and spread positive messages. So yeah, I would say if you're not involved, if you're a member and you're not in a community group, email us. Membership will get you connected, but attending the events is really, that's how you do it. We have a fantastic first timer and new member initiative. We reinitiated as some volunteers lead that. Michael Goldman and Corey Perlman. Apologies if I get the names wrong. I have a million names going around in my head right now. But anywho, if you're a first timer, new member, even if you're not a first timer, second timer even, we've got this great partner initiative that we do, where we partner you with a veteran attendee, and they kind of walk you through, how to create your own choose your own adventure, if you will, on site at an event. So you can't go to every breakout, right? But you can pick the ones that are relevant to you, and then they can introduce you to people and bring you into their group of friends. And, oh, do you play an instrument? Maybe you want to join NSA musicians, or, that sort of thing. So it's a lifelong engagement, and you build trust over time, and you network with these people, and then it turns into friendships. And my goodness, we even have, budding romantic relationships from being at NSA. I know there's one member, he's one of our dual international members, but he met his wife at an NSA event. So again, we won't go down that road, but you know what I mean. It's a great thing to get involved, and not to see NSA as just a gig, because that'll get your email deleted real quick.
Yeah. Shout out to Terry Brock and Gina Carr, who.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of conferences, there aren't secrets, but it always seems like there are secrets that get unleashed. And good secrets, like award winners and all kinds of, or you'll have somebody that comes on the main stage that we didn't know was coming. How do you keep all those secrets? It probably does help not to have a staff of hundreds and have, one of those Department of Defense leaks to the press or anything like that. But it does take a lot to keep all those secrets. And I'm always amazed that of the people that I know that love the gossip train, that don't know what's going on. They're like, oh, wow. How do you go about doing all that?
Oh, well, that's a secret in itself.
Like,
no, I'm kidding. That's the fun part, the big reveal of the award winners, and it's really fun. It's really fun for us, and it's really fun for the recipients too. They get to invite their family and their friends, and they're excited. And sometimes it leaks out. It's normal. It's natural. It happens. But for the most part, I make them sign a contract in blood. Well, no, I don't do that. But I do think that some of them are scared of me now. But there's that. But I would say the coveted one is fun. The coveted one, the recipient, only 2 people know who that recipient is each year. And that's myself and then our CEO, Jamie Nolan. And it's a hard one to keep because it's exciting. But then we also loop in the family member or whomever, family and friends of said recipient, and they have to keep it a secret as well until the big reveal at the banquet. So a lot of times, you'll see the staff, in the hallway acting like Secret Service, I've got like Ruby, for example, she won a couple years ago. And most everyone that's been around NSA a long time knows Ruby's husband, Rich, right? No, you could tell, you could see him down the hallway. Oh, that's Rich. What's he doing here? And then it would trigger, let people know what's going on. So we had to keep him hidden in a hotel room for hours. Bless his heart. But it was so fun. And, we had to sneak him in the back and it's just fun. And it's a big surprise for the winners, recipients. And, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That probably opened up a whole therapy session for the secrets that they keep in their marriage. That'll be one of those ones where Ruby can say, you didn't tell me. And so this is a question that I want to ask for everybody listening to Speakernomics or for everybody that wants to be on an NSA stage. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who dreams of being on the big NSA stage, what would it be?
Okay. Let's see. Going for that mic drop moment, right? We'll see. I would say serve first, speak second. So when you build a track record, a reputation, if you will, of originality, generosity, relevance, the stage will find you.
All right, then let's do a quick recap based on Candice's eventful advice. Number 1, being easy to work with is a high bar, not only that we should talk about in the halls, but practice what we preach. Communicate loud and timely. We know what other event pros need, so let's do it for NSA as well. Number 2, even at an event for speakers, the audience still needs actionable content. That's what other events want to see from us. It's what I want to see as an attendee. It's not just your performance on stage, but what can help them, other speakers, perform better too. Number 3, relevant, transparent, digestible content. I love when she brought that up. Number 4, NSA is a community, not a gig. Be part of the community, serve first, speak second, and the stage will find you. Candice, I'm looking forward to seeing you and pestering you at Influence. Just supporting you at Influence. Any last closing thoughts before we speak ourselves off this stage?
I just hope to see everybody at Influence in Scottsdale. Remember, it's just a dry heat.
It's not so much the heat, but the stupidity where I live. So that's what David Letterman said. Friends, make sure to join us at Speakernomics.com and let your voice be heard. I'm Candice Sharp-Kinney, your host of the National Speakers Association's podcast, Speakernomics, and this has been another fantastic episode of the show. Thank you, Candice, for your service to NSA and for lending your voice to the show. And everyone listening, thank you for the privilege of your time. And remember, Speakernomics is a podcast where you'll learn to speak, get paid, repeat.